Hi everyone. Today we're going to be making these little peekaboo flowers, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to get started. You want to kind of have everything pre-cut and ready so that you can just glue it together and finish off your backgrounds. So you're going to pre-cut your stems, you want to cut your little petals and the little yellow strips of paper that will kind of make things bounce up. So what I think the easiest thing to do is just draw out some simple shapes for your petals. I did 3 different flowers, so I made 3 slightly different shapes. You can use all kinds of paper. You can use paper that you've already painted and decorated, you don't know what to do with. You can use decorative paper. You could even use wrapping paper, or you could use magazines. Whatever you have on hand you think looks cool, you can use to make your flower petals. I would say you should probably make something like 6 to 8 of each shape, just so you have enough. It's okay if you have too many or too few. You could always cut more or have some extra. So that's what we're going to do at the end there, is make a little peekaboo part. And you just want to choose the paper that you're going to use for your background, sort out your petals so they're all with the light kind, and then draw out some kind of a shape for the flower pot that you're going to use. It can be really anything you like. And you can keep it very simple, or you can decorate it with different patterns. I'm just going to go ahead and cut mine out so that you can kind of figure out how you're going to put everything on the paper. Before you glue anything, you always want to figure out where things are going to go so you don't find yourself stuck. So I'm just adding a little bit of shade to mine with this purple crayon just to make it look a little bit more real instead of too flat. I added a little glossy spot, and that's it. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of figure out where I want to put my stems, just so I can make sure they're really coming out of the pot. Otherwise it might look a little silly or strange if they're sticking out of the side, for example. So I just put a little bit of glue on there to get those down, and then I can feel comfortable knowing my flowers are going to go in the right place. So you can go ahead and glue down your flower pot as well. And then we're going to go ahead and place a couple of leaves. So I cut out a few leaf shapes, real simple, and I'm just going to put a few on each stem to make these look a little more interesting, maybe a little more realistic. I like to just kind of put some on opposite sides. You could put more or less, it's fine. But I will just say at this point, if you don't have construction paper, that's okay. Remember, you can use any kind of paper you have on hand, any scraps you have. And if you only have blank paper, well, you can always color those things in. You don't have to worry if you don't have a lot of different types of paper. So I'm just arranging my flower petals now, and I'm making it all come out of the middle. It's okay if they stick out of the side of the paper. I think that actually looks kind of cool when they stick out over the edge, because it makes it look like you broke the frame a little bit. And that's like, sometimes things are better when they don't fit all the time, so that's okay. You can make them stick out. I'm not worried about the middle of the flower yet. I'm just going to move on to my next one. And you guys can make them overlap, so it's fine if one of them sticks over the other one. It looks a little bit more interesting that way sometimes if you have those things that are happening throughout the picture. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure all of those get on. And one thing I really like to do is, when I'm not really sure what I'm going to make, is just make some painted papers. What I'm using right now is some paper that I painted on with temper paint sticks. I had some metallic colors and different things like that. This one is similar. It's just some painted papers that I had on hand that I thought I'd save for a project. So that's always a good thing to do. You can use watercolors or anything that you might have around if you just want to paint up a piece of paper, and you can use it later on in a project like this. So I like to use the different shapes of petals because I think it's more interesting than just using one. So some of them are rounded, some of them are pointy, and things like that. And what I'm going to do next is work on the little center parts. So these are little peekaboo parts that we're going to make so that you can put little images and things like that inside there. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and use these little strips of paper that I cut. I want to have a little something that's popping out to make this a little more dynamic. So I just cut out these little yellow strips of paper. I curled them up a little bit around a crayon, I'm only putting 4 on each flower. You could do more if you want to, that's fine. I just want to have something that's kind of sticking up. So just place them somewhere around the center. They don't have to be perfect because you're going to cover up parts of them anyway, so don't worry if they overlap or they stick out in different ways. But just get something on there and it will make a nice kind of 3D part to your picture in addition to that little centerpiece, and make your flower look more dynamic. So the next thing I'm going to do is get a paper. So you want to think about what color you're going to use for your middle piece. And I'm just using some yellow here. I'm folding it in half because I want this to open up like a card. And I make sure that I cut it on the fold there so that I cut out one piece that will just open up like that. And you can put anything you want inside there. So yeah, if you want to give this as a gift and write some nice messages, you can do that. If you got some favorite stickers you want to hide in there, you can do that. I'm just going to make something real simple for the moment and then stick that on as a sample. The last thing that I'm going to do is just make myself a little background. You guys can decorate yours however you want. I'm just going to make a little table here, add a bit of color so it looks like my flower pot sitting on there. And that is that. I hope you guys have fun and please keep doing some art.